Hello everybody. Today we will be continuing our journey of learning C++ for free. Watching and learning these videos for only 5 minutes a day will make you a master programmer. So let's go over how we do last week's challenge. So we have to define 4 or 5 or how many ever different types of variables, one of each type minimum, and let's just print it out all into one statement. So int grade is equal to 1. So I'm going to print am I in first grade? Question mark, false, and then on the next line I'm just going to print a double just to demonstrate what a double is. Bool match is equal to false. Double random is equal to, let's just say 8.98. Let's say string str is equal to am I in, and then we should add a space here so that we don't have to do it in the cout statement. Otherwise, in the cout statement, we have to add a space like that. But if we add it already in the string, then we won't have to. String str2 is equal to grade cout str grade str2 match. And one more thing, you can write end L to go to the next line, and random. So what this will do is, it'll first print, am I in first grade, question mark, then it'll print 0, because remember, false is represented by 0, and then it'll print 8.98 on the next line. So there it is. We can, in fact, we should add a space between this and 0. There's two ways to do it. We can add one here, or, in this case, we can add one over here, and don't forget the double less than symbols, and let's see it again, run it again. Here we go. Am I in first grade? 0, which means false, and then 8.98. So this week's video is going to be a little bit longer than usual, but I hope you enjoy. We have int a here, and we want to multiply it by 2. So there are many different operations that you can use to change a value. Okay, so we have multiplication, we have division, we have modulus, which you might not know, but I'll explain it to you, and it's actually a pretty simple concept. We have addition, and finally we have subtraction. So these are all the operations. You may be wondering how we use these in C++. So multiplication, we use an asterisk. Division, we use a slash, a forward slash. Modulus, we use a percentage symbol. Addition, we use the plus sign. And finally, subtraction, we use a minus sign. So these 5 are the most important operations you need to know in order to master C++. So in order to implement these, we have to use assignment. And if you may recall, assignment is giving a variable a value. So in order to assign a variable a new value, we can do, okay, so we have a defined over here. We can do a is equal to a times 2. So this is an asterisk. It's a bit messy, but first, only the right side of the expression is evaluated, okay? So we take whatever a has in its value, 7. And so that would be a is equal to 7 times 2. So a will equal 14. So that's how C++ is going to evaluate that expression. Let's go over some more examples. We have a is equal to 14 now. Or let's say we want to bring it to 2. We can do a is equal to a divided by 7. And that is the same as a is equal to 14 over 7. A is equal to 2. So this is slightly different than algebra. You might not completely understand it right now, but as we go, it'll make more and more sense. So it's just remember that unlike algebra, you can just assign a variable a value. It doesn't have to make any logical sense. Like in algebra, this statement has 0 meaning. That would mean that if we divide both sides by a, 1 is equal to 2, which is definitely not a true statement. You may not know what the modulus operator does. Say we want int b is equal to 65 mod 7. So what the mod operator does is it returns whatever the remainder is when you divide this value by this value. So, for example, we do 65 by 7. We have to put, here we go, 9. So this would return 2. So int b would equal 2. So there's actually a specific order in which I wrote these. And there's a reason there's a line over here. So similar to algebra, there's an order of operations. So first, the first precedence is multiplication, division, and modulus. And then finally is addition and subtraction. So these, so if they're in the same tier, there's 2 tiers, right? So this is tier 1, and this is tier 2. So if operations are in the same tier, they'll be evaluated with the same precedence, which means they'll happen just left to right. But if they're in different tiers, then the higher tier operation will happen first. You might know this from algebra, right? So this is like PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, where we're not going to use exponents, however. So let's give an example. Let's say we have int a is equal to 6 times 7 minus 2. Now, using order of operations, we know this operation will happen first. 42 minus 2 is equal to 40. Another example, let's say int b is equal to 17 minus 6 divided by 2. So what this is going to do is, since, let's go back to the precedence, right? So we see that division is in a higher tier than addition and subtraction. So 6 divided by 2 will be evaluated first. So b will be given the value 17 minus 3, which is equal to 14. Another thing about integer division, so when you're dividing between integers, something weird happens. So let's say we have int a is equal to 7 divided by 2. In the previous cases, if we had 8 divided by 2, then it would just give us 4 because that's a pretty simple division. But in this case, okay, if you really evaluate it, you get 3.5, right? But since it knows this is an integer, this has to be truncated, or it has to be chopped off. So what it'll do is a will be set to 3, because no matter what the decimal is, even if the decimal was 3.9, it doesn't round. It just removes whatever the decimal is, so you'll get 3. This can actually be quite useful, but just know that if you do int d is equal to, let's say, 8 divided by 5, you'll just get d is equal to 1. Because basically, it just gets rid of the remainder. So this is why also the modulus operator is useful. Let's say we have a variable int a is equal to 8, and b is equal to 5, right? And then int d is equal to a divided by b, right? Let's say that. So you don't necessarily know a and b's values because it could have been changed. So that's why you can use mod. So instead of doing this, we can do int c is equal to a mod b, which that would be 8 mod 5, so c would be set to 3. So now let's do int d is equal to a divided by b, then d would equal 1. So now you know the actual quotient is 1 remainder 3. So another similarity between C++ and algebra is you can use parentheses if you want a certain thing to happen first. And I suggest using parentheses anyways because it makes your code a lot more clear and readable. So let's say we have int b is equal to that same expression. It was 17 minus 6 divided by 2. But the thing with this is, it'll do what it did last time, and b will be set to 14. But what we want, actually, is parentheses around there. So then what happens is, so similar to algebra, parentheses are at the top. So let's add that over to our tier list here. So let's just call it tier 0. Because this basically is the top of the top. Parentheses. Okay, so parentheses can just be put around expressions like 17 minus 6, and that expression will be evaluated first. You can have like multiple parentheses, like you can do parentheses around this too, but although that won't do much, it's just great for readability to have parentheses. So this will give us b is equal to 11 divided by 2, since 17 minus 6 will give you 11. And b is equal to 5, because we have to remember this gives you 5.5. Integer division truncates it. So one important thing for doubles, all of these still apply for doubles, but a few differences. For doubles, when you do double, a is equal to 5.0 divided by 2.0. A will be set the value 2.5, because remember, integers, the reason that it truncates is because you can only have counting numbers inside an integer, so it truncates it. But with doubles, it knows that it can have a double, so yeah. This week's challenge is going to be in the description and in the comments. It's a math riddle. It's a bit hard, but I think you can do it. Good luck. See you in the next one. Peace.